Hello, Boone County Democrats. My name is Joel Miller. I'm a Democrat and a veteran of the United States Army. I grew up on a dairy farm just north of Independence, Iowa. Been a member of the IBEW. I have been the mayor of Robbins. I served as chair of the Linn County Democratic Central Committee for 4 years, and I've been the Linn County Auditor and Commissioner of Elections for 13 plus years. I'm running to be your next Secretary of State, and my message is simple. Let's make voting easy again. Pretty simple, but it's not simple anymore. In 2016, we had 40 days of early voting. Today we have 20. 2016, you could give us an absentee ballot request form on the Friday before the election, and we would mail out an absentee ballot. Today, you have to get that form to us no later than 15 days before the election. Today, we can only have one drop box in every county in Iowa. That's not fair. I have 160,000 registered voters in Linn County, and I am entitled to one drop box. Adams County, with 2,800 voters, is entitled to one drop box. Let's call that what it is. That's voter suppression. That's making voting hard and as inconvenient as possible for people that vote by mail and early voters. That's not going to happen in my administration. We're going to be an advocate for the voters. We're going to be helpful. We're going to assist voters. We're going to protect the right to vote. And we're going to defend the right to vote against a right-wing, conservative, Republican legislature. The Secretary of State that we have has basically sat on his hands. Didn't even do anything when the current election legislation was going through the legislature, even though county auditors from across the state disapproved, including Republican county auditors. 68 of the county auditors in Iowa are Republican, 28 are Democrats, and 3 are independents. Our organization, the Association of County Auditors, was opposed to this legislation, yet the Secretary of State did nothing, said nothing, didn't even register on the March bill that was passed and signed by the governor. That's atrocious. That's a lack of leadership. That's maladministration, mismanagement. I'll do better. I'll be an advocate for voters. I will ensure that their votes get counted. I will make things as convenient as I possibly can. And I will strive to do things that create a high voter turnout in Iowa. I'm already doing it. Doing it in Linn County. I'm the only auditor to publish an absentee ballot request form in a county-wide newspaper. I want everyone to be given the opportunity to participate in the upcoming November election. In 2020, I was sued by the Trump administration for trying to make voting easy during a pandemic and trying to keep voters safe during a pandemic. And we accomplished that. We had the highest voter turnout ever in my county and across the state. 79.64% of the registered voters. That includes inactive voters in the registered voter count voted. That's quite an accomplishment. I'm fearful that will never happen again under the present administration that we have. We need to speak truth to the lies about our elections. We need to restore trust and faith in our elections process, and we need to restore leadership in the Secretary of State's office. And I'm the person that can do that. I've been fighting the fight to protect voter rights, to increase participation since I was elected. And I will continue to do so. I would appreciate your support, whether it be signing petitions or volunteering for my campaign or providing donations. We need to work together to make voting easy again. Thank you.
Hello, Boone County Democrats. I wish I could be with you in person, but I am so grateful for the precautions that you're taking during COVID. That's the kind of leadership you'd like to see during a pandemic. But sadly, Iowa's highest offices are failing us. That's why I'm challenging Senator Grassley for Iowa's U.S. Senate seat. I'm Dr. Glenn Hurst from Minden, Iowa, and think you deserve the chance to vote for someone who holds the same common sense values as you and knows that to do right by our neighbors, we need bold, progressive policy changes. Look, the next 6 years are going to be pivotal. We're going to decide the direction of our healthcare and climate crisis during this time, and we need someone in Iowa's Senate seat who is committed to service and standing up for science. I am committed to service and science. A rural doctor in Minden, Iowa. I've proudly served my patients for 20 years. I'm a city council person and a dad who saw the direction our country was going and got involved in advocacy. I co-founded the local Indivisible chapter to hold leaders like Senator Grassley accountable. For decades, Grassley has failed rural Iowans. He's sold out small towns to big corporations. Instead of protecting our children, he's questioning science. He's sacrificed the rights of women and jeopardized their health with anti-choice justices. It's time for Grassley to go. And what better replacement than a scientist and doctor to lead on healthcare and the climate catastrophe? I'm an unapologetically progressive Democrat. I believe Iowans deserve Medicare for all. And I know that by providing it, we can lift Iowa's families out of poverty and give them a solid footing in the middle class. I know the threat of climate crisis is real, and it's time we do all we can to slow it down. Look, I know that rural Iowa needs thoughtful immigration reform. There's too much at stake to be flimsy on these issues. Fact: climate catastrophe is real and caused by humans, but we can work to reverse it. Fact: healthcare is a human right. Every American should have access to care. Fact: transphobia exists. Sexism, anti-Semitism, Islamophobia exist. These must be rooted out of our institutions. Our rights should be equal, no matter our race, creed, color, or code. The safe harbor Grassley and his cohorts have given these bigotries must be eliminated. It's time we face the facts and tackle them with facts. What else can providing health care, addressing climate change, and amending immigration law do? They can revitalize the long-forgotten rural America. Under 40 years of Chuck Grassley, we've seen our rural communities shrink. Services dry up, our storefronts close, our family farms disappear, and our waterways, air, and land polluted and abused. Grassley's had 40 years to invest in rural Iowa and provide resources and solutions. But he's too busy foot soldiering for Mitch McConnell. It's been far too long since we've had a bold progressive like Tom Harkin in office. But Iowans deserve someone who will stand up for progressive principles and values. I am ready, and I promise you, I'll fight like hell for our progressive values each and every day. I will support and drive the process to adopt and implement Medicare for all so that hospitals, physicians, therapists, dentists, and optometrists are all accessible to every individual in every community. We will invest in the brick and mortar of healthcare and use this vehicle to bring high-speed broadband infrastructure and support it, and in turn make it available to the entire region. Iowans deserve a seat at the table on these issues, to set our communities up to thrive, we must go to D.C. knowing what it takes to treat our condition. A person who knows when you can have doctors who can deliver babies in rural communities, Iowa wins. When those children have access to vision, hearing, and dental care, Iowa wins. When well care replaces the need for chronic illness care, Iowa wins. When we create jobs and invest in infrastructure, Iowa wins. When we can live out our golden years in the communities that we built, Iowa wins. And when we defeat Chuck Grassley and replace him with a scientist, physician, and a policymaker, Iowa wins.
Hey there, Boone County Democrats. Couldn't be more excited to join you. I'm Abby Finkenauer, and I'm running for United States Senate because Iowa, our country, and democracy are worth fighting for. You see, I grew up in Iowa in a small town a little bit north of Dubuque called Sherrill. It's a town that has more cows than people, and it's where I learned about the kindness of our neighbors and being there for each other. Whether it was a literal cup of sugar or, in my family's case, my mom being able to call the neighbors and say, hey, can you come down and watch the kids, as she needed an extra hand, as my dad worked out of town months at a time as a union pipe fitter welder, just trying to provide a good life for our family. And that, to me, is what this race is all about. See, my parents didn't just give me a good life, but they fought for it relentlessly every single day. And having leaders in Washington, D.C. and in that United States Senate who understand the difference between folks just being able to make a living or being able to have a good life is often the difference between the two. It's the difference of being able to, go on a small family vacation, maybe to the campground for the weekend, or wondering, do you have enough left over at the beginning of next month to cover childcare? It's the difference between wondering, do you have enough that you can take your grandkids out to ice cream or maybe to the ball game, or are you able to fill your prescriptions the beginning of the next month? Or it's the difference, and we've all lived this over the last year and a half, of being able to take the time to care for your loved ones, your kiddos, your grandkids, if they're sick, or wondering if you've got a job, if you take the time to do it. There's so many of these different examples that show up, I know, in your life and across the state. And we're going to make sure we have a U.S. Senator who understands, who fights for what really matters, and shows up for Iowans every single day. That's what this race is all about. And it's also about our democracy and the truth. It's about time we have a United States Senator who will tell the truth, stand up for our country, for democracy, and get things done for working families, both in Boone County, but also across the state and across the country. Please join us. We need everybody with us as we do this to show the Washington elites and everybody at the top who say it can't be done that they don't know Iowa, that we are people who stand up for each other, who care about the truth, about democracy, and about working families, and we will get this done. Join us. Go to abbyfinkenauer.com, and let's make sure we get this done, and let's make sure we win. Thanks, everybody.